It just makes good sense. Some people say to me, well, Jill, you know, money won't buy everything. Well, let me show you a little picture I got right here. This shows a young man, and he's got a whole boatload of equipment on this table in front of him. He's got a cassette player, a CD player, video player, calculator, voice recorder, VCR, video camera, calendar, address book, stopwatch, timer, alarm clock, radio, telephone. 20 years ago, right? It all fits in your pocket now. We cannot adequately educate our children out of 20-year-old textbooks. Textbooks are something that money can buy. When they tell you money, don't throw money at schools, well, we want to throw it at the book publisher and let them send us some up-to-date books. Money can also fix leaky roofs, such as students and teachers suffer under right over here in Carroll County. Money can hire reading coaches so that our third graders pass the reading gate. Did you all know that third graders who pass the reading gate have a 70%, they are 70% more likely to graduate high school. We need those reading coaches. Y'all also know we need skilled graduates to manage the enormous amounts of data and technical information that are vital to today's economy. Every sector of our economy is demanding higher and higher skill levels, even sectors you don't normally think about, like construction or manufacturing. The folks are going to have to be able to run more and more complicated machinery and equipment, and they've got to be properly prepared. Many of our high school graduates are poorly prepared, but it's not because of our students, and it's not because of our educators. It's because of a failure to act on the part of our legislature. A failure to act to fully fund the Mississippi Adequate Education Program. If Mississippi students are not going to go into positions in industry or positions at college that call for that education, other states are going to continue to take our place, and we are going to remain 50th. I pledge to you and to your children that I will act. I will act to support, vote, and advocate publicly for the full funding of the Mississippi Adequate Education Program because we can do better. Something else about this Mississippi Adequate Education Program, part of that reason for it is that in some of our districts like Madison and Rankin and DeSoto, they have such a big tax base that they can give a lot of money to their schools and they don't notice it so much. Well, the MAEP formula gives a little extra money to those districts that don't have that tax base. And so it makes things more equitable. We have got to get away from these inequitable local property tax-based school funding that rewards the wealthy and penalizes everybody else. We need to invest in ensuring the quality of the community public schools we already have rather than escape schemes for a few. We need systemic strategies for all, not escape hatches for the few, like charter schools or vouchers. We are all diminished when some of our children do not get the highest quality education. Now, I firmly believe in that. Now, speaking of funding, I know y'all are aware that we have a funding crisis at our local hospitals. Hospitals are laying off employees, they're closing the ICUs, they're closing emergency rooms. The funding from the federal government changed. It used to be that Medicaid provided funding to rural hospitals to make up for people who couldn't pay their bill. 1 in 5 people over at Kosciusko Hospital could not pay their bill. Medicaid came in and helped the hospital out and made those supplemental payments. But y'all, those payments have gone away. We are no longer going to get them. In their place, we were supposed to expand Medicaid to working families. For the first 3 years of the program, the federal government would have provided 100% of the funding. And after that, the state would only have to provide for 90% of the funding. In the first 3 years, Mississippi would have received nearly $9.9 billion in federal money. Our current representative voted to turn away these federal funds that would have helped our hospital. And instead, we're floated a $5 million bond bill. Why are we fooling around with millions of dollars when we could have had billions? And put that loan on the back of every person in the Talon County. $5 million, y'all, we got to pay that back. But that isn't all that burns my biscuit about this, and y'all know this too. If they don't care about our hospitals, and if they don't care about our health, you think that they would care about the economic benefits of expansion. Expansion of Medicaid to working families would have brought an estimated 9,000 jobs to the state of Mississippi. And this would have stimulated our local economy. How? because it is a well-established fact that for every $1 paid in Medicaid benefits, it generates 60 cents in associated economic activity in the community. 60 cents. So that if $9.9 billion had been spent by the federal government here, the state would have received $5.4 billion in associated economic activity. And y'all, that is more than the state pulls in the sales tax every year. This is the economic growth that Mississippi has been missing out on while the rest of the country just passes us by. Y'all, the states that have expanded Medicaid have seen a lot of benefit from this. We are the only southern state last year which had a negative GDP, the only one. And we had the second highest loss of construction jobs. Every county in my district, y'all, every county in District 48 had a net loss of jobs. And y'all know they built a Toyota plant up there in Blue Springs. It cost the state of Mississippi $148,000 per job. And that's something that states do sometimes for economic development. They also built a tire plant up there in West Point. It cost the state of Mississippi $160,000 per job. Y'all want to know how much these Medicaid jobs will cost them? 1/3 of that amount. 1/3. And surely a job in a hospital is just as good as a job in a tire plant at 1/3 of the cost. But we didn't get any jobs. Instead of jobs, what did we get? A failure to act. A failure to act on the part of the legislature in the best interests of the state of Mississippi. I pledge to you, I will act. As your representative, I will vote, support, and advocate for the expansion of Medicaid for working families because Mississippi can do better. Also impacting our economy is our infrastructure. Roads, bridges, drinking water systems, public buildings. The legislature has not set aside funding to invest in our infrastructure. As a matter of fact, the American Society of Civil Engineers gives Mississippi a C- on our infrastructure report card. Over 2,000, excuse me. Sorry, y'all. I get excited. Over 2,000 of our bridges are structurally deficient. And you may have heard about one that recently fell down over here in Carroll County. And thank the Lord that there wasn't a school bus full of children crossing it at the time. Amen? Amen. Another 8% of our bridges are functionally obsolete. That means that they're too narrow or too low for modern loads to get across. So what happens to you when you're a farmer or a manufacturer? You're trying to get your goods to market, and you got to go the long way around to avoid these bridges. More time, more money, more fuel. Pretty soon your products are no longer competitive in the marketplace. Y'all, we cannot stand that. We have got to invest in our infrastructure to keep our economy strong. Our wastewater and drinking water systems are projected to need billions over the next 20 years. That affects our health directly. And to go all the way back to the schoolhouse, our schools also are estimated to need about $5 billion over the next 20 years. I'm sorry, $3.4 billion. But y'all know what we have seen from our legislature. A failure to act. A failure to act on investment in infrastructure. Nationwide, the ASCE finds that this failure to act costs each and every one of us $3,000 a year. $3,000. Due to this failure to act. I pledge to you I will act. I will vote, support, and advocate for funding of Mississippi infrastructure because we can do better. I am Jill Butler, and I'm asking you for your vote on August the 4th and again on November the 3rd. And I will act on funding our public school system. I will act on expanding Medicaid to working families, and I will act on investing in our infrastructure because Mississippi can do better. Thank you.